Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, April 10, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related questions that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we still have that ridge of high pressure dominating the Atlantic right there to the north of the Caribbean, and this is responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean, curving to the north. And we can also see that the cold front is still stretching all the way down into portions of the eastern to central Caribbean, and it's bringing more in the way of cloud cover than anything else, kind of inducing a trough like line of clouds into portions of the Caribbean, bringing some amount of overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of the Leeward Islands, sections of Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and it's definitely going to be making its way into portions of Jamaica on Thursday. We can also see a frontal system affecting portions of the southern United States with some amount of severe thunderstorms, even some tornado outbreaks happening as we speak. We can also see some amount of thunderstorm activity also taking place across sections of southeastern Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Costa Rica, and Panama as usual. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, April 10. It was stated that we would have received some amount of morning rainfall across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica, and then some of that would spill into sections of some central and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. And just for your information, northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county. Well, not county, we're talking about those parishes on the top side of the island. So, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While when we're talking about eastern parishes, central and western parishes, we're talking about Surrey when we're referring to eastern parishes. So those parishes in the county of Surrey, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. When we're talking about central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While when we're talking about western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 5:20 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page but our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook page as well. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as there are clearly other posts that are made by us that are not made on our YouTube page. So on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. And we saw the Cuban Doppler radar images showing some amount of rainfall coming into sections of eastern Jamaica, some more so eastern Portland, eastern St. Thomas, getting some of that as we can see by these greens coming into eastern Jamaica. The greens represent light to moderate rainfall. We know we see some across northern Jamaica, but that's more so ground clutter. That's a glitch. We're more to believe what we see across the sea. That can't be faked. If we move on, at about 8:56 a.m., the visible satellite images were posted, and they showed some amount of clouds coming into sections of some northern parishes and some eastern parishes. So we definitely were still getting in on that overcast sky activity, not to mention some amount of isolated shower activity, and we even have some confirmation of that rainfall on the north coast. And I even got some rainfall in my area in eastern Jamaica today with this other post that was made at 10:20 a.m. Definitely got a nice shower in sections of St. Thomas. And even on our Instagram page, we have one of our followers, Realest Chick 876, confirming the rainfall in that parish. It's raining in St. Thomas. Then at 2:31 p.m., the visible close-up satellite image was posted, showing clouds bringing overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica. So definitely sections of Westmoreland, Hanover, sections of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, Southern St. Anne, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern St. Andrew. Definitely gotten on some mode of overcast skies and isolated shower activity. And we indeed have confirmation from one of our followers on our Facebook page, Shawnee Reynolds, stating getting rain in St. Andrew, and that was posted about 5 hours ago. So that was about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 2 p.m. 2 p.m., 3 p.m. time frame. Even on our Instagram page, we have Lil Bratz one, stating heavy rain in Orange Bay, Hanover, and that was 2 hours ago. So that indeed confirms the rainfall that was predicted. So not everywhere got rain, but some areas did indeed get that rain that was predicted. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can indeed see where those clouds were building, especially across inland areas of some central parishes and sections of western Jamaica. So definitely Westmoreland and Hanover, as usual, getting in on the activity. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we can see that we still have some milky white colors that represent some amount of cloud cover across sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica. And if we take a look at the latest Q1 Doppler radar images, we can see that we still have some amount of rainfall, especially off to the west of the island. So still affecting section maybe Negril, but majority of the rainfall is right there off shore. If we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this indeed confirms the rainfall that we got across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica, and some of that rainfall that we saw across sections of some northwestern parishes. So definitely Hanover and St. James. And if we take a look at the temperatures, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay right now, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Thursday. When we calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we see Jamaica embedded in some yellows and some slight orange colors that represent 1 to up to even 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures, as we can see by the key on the right. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of April across Jamaica are about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperatures on Thursday. As relates to the dry air map, we can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by a lot of dry air. The dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom. The yellows show the low end of the scale in terms of dry air. The oranges then gets more intense as we move on to the right, so reds, and the whites within those reds. And we see the driest areas right there off the coast of Africa. Jamaica is right now embedded in some amount of yellows and oranges that indicates some amount of low end to about mid end of the scale dry air. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we can see that brown shade that represents some amount of Saharan dust plaguing the waters of the main development region, not to mention sections of the southeastern Caribbean. But this is on the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, as we can see the darker shades of browns right there closer to Africa that indicate that vigorous plume of dust that we know cause the hazy skies and trigger some amount of asthmatic conditions, not to mention sinusitis issues in some people. And we're indeed grateful that this is the forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, having Jamaica very much in the clear. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are showing the blues that should be plaguing the waters around the island for the most part. If you're going to be going offshore, you might get an awesome amount of purples, especially after the southeast of the island. Those purples represent 2 to 3 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest right there off to the south of the island. And we see those brighter greens, even some yellows in the mix that represent anywhere from 20 to 25 knots, maybe even gusting up to 30 knots in some spots. And we see that for majority of the island, we're getting in on those greens that represent anywhere from 15 to 20 knot wind, coming in more so from the east, southeast than anything else. So whatever air piles up during the afternoon, whatever cumulus clouds we have piling up, they could be piling up more so across sections of some northern and western parishes in Jamaica. And whatever comes off of the water from the east definitely could affect sections of St. Thomas and maybe Portland as well. And if we take a look at the rainfall forecast now, these are the maps that are showing the 1 hour totals, and this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are showing 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time. And we see the blues that represent rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes. So definitely sections of St. Thomas, Portland getting in on the action. And then skipping ahead to about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. We see the Euro a bit more robust than the GFS, but I'm more to believe what the GFS is showing. We see the blues that represent rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes on the Euro. GFS making more sense with that blues that represent rainfall across sections of some eastern, northern, and western parishes. So that would indeed make sense considering that all the cloud cover, all of that air is going to be piled up across sections of some northern and western parishes in Jamaica. So definitely look out for that rainfall in the afternoon if you live on the north coast. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting on that rainfall. Look at these maps from the Euro and the GFS in terms of the accumulated precipitation. We see the GFS is a bit less robust than what the Euro is showing. Euro is showing up to 0.22 of an inch across western Jamaica, maybe even more than that, up to 0.29 of an inch of rainfall across eastern Jamaica. And if we take a look at the GFS showing up to 0.24 of an inch of rainfall across western Jamaica, up to 0.12 of an inch across eastern Jamaica. Either way, there is consensus with where the rainfall is expected. Say eastern and western Jamaica. And we see the Euro is a bit more robust with the rainfall totals than the GFS as it usually is. Either way, we're in the month of April. We're still in our dry season. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get during this month, as we usually receive 114 millimeters of rainfall. This is actually almost 5 inches of rainfall. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the drought that some areas are currently experiencing. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have that line of clouds associated with the leftovers of that cold front, still stringing along and sending all of those clouds from east to west, all courtesy of the high pressure ridge, into portions of the Leeward Islands. So definitely sections of Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, we're getting in on the action today, Haiti, Dominican Republic. Look at all of that line of cloud cover right there to the south of Hispaniola. And all of that is expected to curve northward as it heads into the western Caribbean, especially with that cold front pushing to the east. Can even see a huge burst of convection across sections of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico this afternoon, associated with this cold front system. We can also see some amount of thunderstorm activity, as we mentioned earlier, across sections of Costa Rica, Panama, sections of Suriname, Guyana, and French Guyana. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see that rainfall that they were having today, this is showing from about a bit after 2 p.m. and we see that rainfall that was plaguing sections of Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, sections of Puerto Rico definitely got in on the action today. And as we head up to this current hour, we're still gonna be seeing some amount of isolated shower activity taking place as that system moves through with the cloud, with the rainfall stringing along. As well as what we're seeing on the Barbados radar showing the Windward Islands, we do see some isolated showers right there off to the north of Barbados, heading into portions of Martinique, maybe even northern St. Lucia. We see some of the Grenadine Islands getting in on some of the isolated shower activity as we speak. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that tremendous rainfall on the Belize radar right there to the across the Yucatan Peninsula, associated with that thunderstorm activity that we saw blow up. And we can even see it all even better on the latest infrared satellite images right here. They're definitely getting in on a huge thunderstorm convection burst. Look at all of those oranges and reds. Definitely some heavy thunderstorm activity taking place across sections of Mexico as we speak. Alright, so let's just talk about the temperatures for tomorrow. So, with another cold front pushing into portions of the Western Caribbean, it makes sense that there's some amount of cooler than average temperatures behind it. So it should be plaguing sections of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, Texas, the southern United States, New Orleans, Louisiana, Mississippi. All of those areas could be getting on some below normal temperatures, as we know are represented by these blues and greens, while the yellows we know represent above normal temperatures, not to mention the oranges and the reds. And we see that should be plaguing the eastern United States, the Bahamas, the western, central, and eastern Caribbean, not to mention northern South America. As relates to the siren dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we see majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, as all the browns that represent the siren dust should be across sections of the southeastern Caribbean, northern South America, sections of southeastern Central America, especially that area right there closer to Africa, where we have those darker shades of browns that represent some amount of vigorous plume of Saharan dust. That, as you know, would cause hazy skies, trigger some amount of asthmatic conditions in some people, not to mention some amount of sinusitis issues with some people as well. As relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see a mixture of blues and purples that represent anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meters wave heights all the way up to 2 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the east, as we can see in the greens are averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 to even 20 knots, and the yellows averaging anywhere from 25 to 30 knots. So there's a mixture of that coming in from the east across the Caribbean for tomorrow. And as relates to the rainfall forecast now, if it's not already raining, these are the areas that are going to be picking up rain within the next 24 hours. So, sections of Mexico, sections of Belize are going to be getting in on the action. So that thunderstorm activity that we saw is definitely going to be affecting sections of Belize. Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama are going to be getting in on the action. And we see that both the EU and the GFS are in consensus with this. Not to mention some isolated shore activity for maybe the Cayman Islands, sections of Puerto Rico, sections of the Leeward Islands. So Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica might get in on the action. Sections of Martinique skipping southward. We see sections of Colombia, Guyana, Suriname and French Guiana. It could be that rainfall that we just saw on the satellite images, but either way, we're expecting more to come. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.